Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It is March 6, 2023 and Barcelona have planned to sit down once again with Athletico Paranaense to continue the negotiations to sign Vitor Roque. Also, more teams are now declaring their interest in signing Samuel Umtiti, and it looks like Aymeric Laporte wants to come to Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and I am officially back home after that short trip to Barcelona to watch Barcelona play against Valencia at the Spotify Camp Nou. And I apologize I didn't post any videos these last 2 days. I had some technical problems with some of the equipment that I took with me to make videos on the road. So I couldn't post any videos, but the important thing is that I am back home. So we are back to the regular schedule, and let's begin because a lot has happened in these past 2 days. Now begin with the news that Real Madrid have dropped points after they drew in their match against Real Betis 0-0 in Sevilla. And as a result, Barcelona are now ahead of Los Blancos by 9 points at the top of the league after Barcelona defeated Valencia 1-0 at the Spotify Camp Nou. And this was once again another poor performance by the team where Barcelona played like a small team where they parked the bus and defended the entire match and were hoping on some counter attacks. And where Barcelona's attack really didn't produce anything besides that first goal by Barcelona during the first half, which was a result from a beautiful pass from Sergio Busquets to Rafinha. But nonetheless, it was a poor performance once again from the team, just like they did against Almeria and just like they did against Real Madrid in Copa del Rey. Now, Barcelona are once again showing that, yes, they have solved the defense problem where they have a very solid defensive backline, which is something that Barcelona have been lacking the past several seasons. But now we have the opposite problem where we have a huge problem in our attack where the attackers, the three forwards up front are not producing anything. In the case of Ansu Fati, aside from those two shots that he had on goal where he attempted to score, he was mostly gone. He was a ghost for throughout the entire match. In regards to Rafinha, once again, he couldn't dribble past anyone. He probably can't even dribble past a light post. I think we have signed the only Brazilian in the world that doesn't know how to dribble. And there were a couple of plays where had he attempted a dribble, he could have either scored a goal or provided an assist. But nonetheless, Rafinha always insists on slowing down and making a back or a side pass rather than attempting dribbles, which I don't know if this is a lack of confidence or if it's the fact that he simply cannot dribble past anyone. Now, some of you might argue that yes, Rafinha did score Barcelona's only goal in the match. However, this is not why we signed up Rafinha for. We signed up Rafinha for 60 million euros so he can be a differential player, so he can be someone who makes a difference, who creates a lot of dangers, who creates a chance, someone who when you see on the field, you know that things are about to change in favor of Barcelona. But nonetheless, that is not what he has been doing, and he's only just one more player on the field that doesn't know how to dribble and that just sends a cross after cross into the box. Now, in the case of Ferran Torres, he was an absolute disaster on the field. He's yet another player that we paid 55 million euros so he can be a difference maker for Barcelona. And yesterday, he was a difference maker, but he was a difference maker for Valencia, not for Barcelona, where he sent two passes to the back to Mark ter Stegen that almost ended up in Valencia's goal. And I really think that Ferran Torres was confused and he thought that he was still playing for Valencia because that is the team that he came up through. Now, during the halftime, we saw Frankie de Jong being substituted where Frankie took his place. And there was some talks about maybe that Frankie had suffered an injury and that is why he had been substituted. But it's not been confirmed by the club that the reason why Xavi decided to substitute Frankie de Jong was because he had noticed a little bit of fatigue in the player, so he decided to rotate him so he could rest, because after all, Frankie de Jong did have a very intense match 3 days before against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu. Now, Ronald Araujo was shown a red card thanks to a mistake by Jules Koundé, where instead of clearing the ball, he passed the ball back and he did it to the middle of the field and very, very softly as well, which allowed the Valencia player to get to the ball, acting more of a pass rather than a clearance, which left Ronald Araujo with no other options but to bring down the Valencia player, and as a result, he received a direct red card. And there were a lot of rumors on social media saying that Ronald Araujo was going to miss 2 matches, and so that would mean he would have missed the match against Athletic Bilbao next week, and also the following match, which will be against Real Madrid at the Spotify Camp Nou. But I'm here to tell you that those rumors are absolutely false. Ronald Araujo will only miss one match, which means he won't be present for when Barcelona travel to San Mamés to face off against Athletic Club de Bilbao, which will be a difficult match. But nonetheless, Araujo will be present for the El Clásico match in La Liga against Real Madrid on March 19th. So he will be there ready to cancel out the Vinicius Jr. threat on the wing, which Ronald Araujo always does in perfect form. Now, overall, it was once again a poor performance by the team, but nonetheless, they were able to get 3 very important points. And some might say, well, Barcelona didn't play well because Pedri, Lewandowski, and Dembele were injured, and since both Gavi and Xavi were suspended because they had received their 5th yellow cards against Almeria. However, that is not an excuse for the team to perform that poorly. This is Barcelona that we're talking about, and it's not about just winning and getting a positive result. It's also the way that we get those victories, because when Joan Laporta hired Xavi and we began this reconstruction project, we were promised something else. We were promised the tiki-taka, we were promised the Barcelona DNA, we were promised those quick transition, those triangulation, those first touch passes that Barcelona are characterized for, but yet we are not getting that. What we're getting is a small team that likes to park the bus and defend where all their 11 players and where the offense produces absolutely nothing. Plus, to add to the argument that Barcelona were missing a lot of players and that is why they played poorly, well, actually Valencia were missing 5 key players, including Cavani, and here we're talking about Valencia, who are in relegation zone. I think they're in the 18th position on the table, so there was absolutely no excuse for the team to play like that. And if this was any other team or a Champions League team, that Barcelona not only would have they lost, but they would have lost by a big margin. So there's definitely a lot of work still to do, and Xavi needs to figure out the formula to get back to how Barcelona were performing, especially against Real Madrid in a Super Cup final, because if the team continues to play like this, then we are at risk of getting eliminated from the Copa del Rey, and we are even at risk of losing the lead in La Liga, because when you play like this and you barely win each match by 1 goal, you eventually will slip up, and we already saw that against Almeria, where we lost 0-1 and where we could have extended our lead by 10 points ahead of Real Madrid. So if we keep playing this could end up catching up with us, and we could see us slip once again, and that's not something you want at the last stretch of La Liga and the Copa del Rey. Now on to the news that Frankie de Jong has informed the club through his agent that he is very happy with the change that's happened in the locker room, where he now feels like he's a leader, where he feels appreciated by Xavi, and where he feels really appreciated by the club as a whole. And even though Frankie de Jong did not want to leave Barcelona before because he was happy at the club, he has declared that he's even more happy now, and that he's very happy living in the city of Barcelona and playing for the club, and he feels very much appreciated. And this could be Frankie de Jong opening the door to a possible renegotiation of his contract, because after all, his relationship with the board of directors has improved drastically from when the board of directors were trying to load him off in the summer, and now it seems that things are really going well between both parties, and Frankie de Jong could be considering renegotiating his contract, because he is the highest paid player on the squad and actually the highest paid player in the entire Spanish league, and he will need to reduce his salary not only to reflect his current market value, but also to help Barcelona with their current financial situation, where they are going to need to reduce their wage bill by 200 million euros come the summer. Now, speaking of midfielders, it's reported that Sergio Busquets is now considering extending his contract by 1 more season. Now, as we've talked about many times before, Busquets' contract will expire at the end of the season, but Xavi wants to convince him to stay for 1 more season so he can train his future replacement. And it seems that Busquets is now considering staying, but only if Barcelona include a clause in his contract that would allow him to leave after 6 months, which is when the MLS would be set to begin. Now, Busquets seems to be not 100% sure about whether to go to the MLS to Inter Miami or not. So that is why he's considering staying at Barcelona, and that is why he's considering a clause in his contract, because if he does end up deciding to move to the MLS, then that clause would allow him to leave right when the MLS season begins, so he can join his future team, which is most likely will be Inter Miami. Now, Barcelona have reportedly told Sergio Busquets what his contract will be if he does extend, and it seems that the club have offered him 3 times less the current salary that he's currently receiving. So we're gonna have to see whether this renewal will happen or not, because after all, Barcelona have to consider whether they're willing to give Busquets that 6-month clause in his contract, and whether Busquets would be willing to accept the salary that's 3 times less than what he's currently receiving. Now on to the great news that Robert Lewandowski seems to be recovering much faster and much better than initially anticipated, and he looks like he could be ready for Barcelona's next match this upcoming weekend against Athletic Club de Bilbao at San Mamés. Now, there's still more exams that need to be done on Lewandowski, more intense exams to see whether he can withstand the impact or the power and see if he is fully ready for that match on Sunday. But as of now, it's looking very positive, and it's looking like the Polish striker could be coming back for Barcelona's next match. Now, speaking of strikers, Barcelona are set to meet with Athletico Paranaense once again in order to continue the negotiations to sign the 18-year-old prodigy Vitor Roque. Now, Barcelona have made up their mind, and it's their final decision that they want to sign Vitor Roque to be Lewandowski's substitute while Lewandowski's still at the club, and once he's gone, so Vitor Roque can be the future number 9 of Barcelona. And the club want to sit down with Athletico Paranaense once again so they can continue talking about the price of the player. Now, Athletico Paranaense are okay with Barcelona paying for Vitor Roque on a payment plan. However, what both clubs are currently differing on is the price of the player, where Barcelona had offered the Brazilian club 25 million euros and where Athletico Paranaense rejected that deal. Now, it seems that the Brazilian club want around 50 million euros for Vitor Roque, and they are basing that price on what Real Madrid paid for Endrick, because they seem to be thinking if Real Madrid paid 50 million euros for a 16-year-old, then Barcelona could pay something equivalent to an 18-year-old Vitor Roque, who's much more developed, on who the footballing scouts are saying is much better than the player that Real Madrid signed. Now, Barcelona will be sitting with Athletico Paranaense in the upcoming days once again to continue the negotiation in order to bring that price down, because even though they do want to sign Vitor Roque, they don't want to spend that much because of the club's difficult financial situation. Now on to the news that more clubs are now declaring their interest in signing the French defender Samuel Umtiti. Now, as we've talked about in the past, Samuel Umtiti is currently doing really well with his new team, Lecce, where he's currently spending this season on loan. And as a result of his good performance, more and more teams are getting interested in the French defender. Now, one of the teams that has recently declared their interest in Umtiti is Inter Milan, who have reportedly contacted Umtiti's representative on several occasions to see what's going to happen with the defender in the future. So Barcelona are looking good as far as offloading Samuel Umtiti this upcoming summer, and this could be a profitable operation for Barcelona where they can make some money off the offloading of Umtiti, who seems to be recovering his form ever since that serious injury, that heinous injury that saw his career take a nosedive back in 2018. Now, speaking of defenders, it seems that Aymeric Laporte is interested in joining Barcelona. Now, Laporte is a 28-year-old left-footed center back who currently plays for Manchester City, and it seems that the player wants to leave the Premier League club because he wants to go back to Spain, where his family is currently at. And even though Real Madrid are very interested in signing Laporte, it seems that the player would rather go to Barcelona. Now, given the player's contract and market transfer, I don't see how Barcelona would be willing to sign Aymeric Laporte. Now, even if Barcelona did have the money to sign Aymeric Laporte, I don't see where he would fit on Xavi's plan, because after all, Barcelona don't have a problem with their center backs, where they currently have 5. 3 of them who are Araujo, Koundé, and Christensen, who are some of the top 10, if not top 5 center backs in Europe. So because of the price of the player, his salary, and Barcelona's lack of need for more center backs, I really don't think this operation will go through. But nonetheless, it is an interesting news that I thought I should share with you. Now, we'll end today's video with the news that it seems that Sevilla are currently sitting in pole position to sign the Barca Athletic player Elias Akomak. Now, Elias Akomak is the 18-year-old winger who Barcelona attempted to extend his contract, which expires at the end of the season. But it seems that the player has decided to leave, and it seems that Sevilla are currently sitting in pole position in order to sign him. Now, Akomak did have an offer from Dortmund, and also Leeds United were very close to completing a deal, but those offers are now have now cooled off, and it seems because the player could be preferring to stay in La Liga, and because Sevilla have reportedly offered him a starting position on their first team. Now, speaking of course of Barca Athletic player, I reported about this before, but it seems that Victor Barbera will be also leaving at the end of the season because his contract is also set to expire, and it seemed that he wanted more money. Barcelona were not willing to give him that extra money that he wanted, so he will be joining Club Brugge. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I'd like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. Finally, I'd like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.